Well, look like Cassie ain't got herself into some trouble, huh? Yeah, man. One of the male escorts is out here on a rampage trying to give Cassie the business legally, right? And I actually saw mention of this on my Instagram, like right after the verdict was handed out, or like right at the end of the trial, man. And it was something in regards to like a male escort that Cassie and Diddy had worked with, was suing both of them because he had contracted a STD from Cassie and then had gotten Cassie pregnant, but she aborted the baby and didn't tell him or whatnot, and he was suing for that. But I just charged to the game. I ain't even getting no attention, bro, because I thought it was just, just the routine, degenerate nonsense coming from the trial that I had been over for a little bit now, but look like things are getting sticky, for real, for real. Because cuz it's definitely on a rampage. Yeah, like I said, bro's name is Clayton Dave Howard, and he is making some bold claims, bro, that definitely portray Cassie in an entirely different light, bro.
So good morning. I am Dave, the man who has just sued Cassandra Ventura for damages involved in the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial. And I'm looking through social media and I see a lot of the women out there, particularly black women like myself, who choose to victim shame me and try to do everything they can to discredit me, because the truth is that the loss of the Sean Combs trial was a loss to the Me Too movement and to hating women like the women who are trying to insult me. So let me tell you something, you women out there who would like to insult me. This is my story. I was paid by Cassie, Cassandra Ventura, for 8 years to be her male provider. I didn't have to be the best looking guy. I was the best in bed. And because I was the best in bed, guess what? I was given this arrangement. I was coerced. I was drugged. I was manipulated with promises of money and gifts for over a period of 8 years to continue to be this woman's provider at her expense and at the expense of Diddy. Now, at the time, legally, I didn't know my rights as well as I do now. I didn't create this conflict with Cassandra Ventura. She created it with me. She's the one who decided to bring up things that happened over 10 to 15 years ago to hold Sean Combs accountable for what was a partial truth. She's the person who introduced me to the U.S. Attorney's Office. She's the person who told the U.S. Attorney's Office about our relationship. So in essence, those out there who want to hate on me, who want to say that I'm attacking Cassie, you should realize the truth, that Cassandra Ventura, your idol, did this to herself. She exposed herself to liability when she got on the stand and decided to mention me as the male escort who was with her when she overdosed and Diddy made her have sex with him. That was a lie, people. Cassie had just woke up from sleeping 8 hours. Myself and Sean Combs were exhausted. We wanted to go home. Cassie's the one who forced that sexual encounter. People, she tells you that Sean Combs made her have sex on her menstrual cycle. I can't speak for anyone else but myself. But I know the one time that did happen, that Sean Combs was not responsible for that Cassie, in a drunken, intoxicated, hormonally imbalanced state due to her period, manipulated and forced herself on me during her menstrual cycle. And what I mean by that is I had no knowledge she was on her menstrual cycle because the room was completely dark. She manipulated the room. She manipulated the environment to get what she wanted, and then she totally got up like I was the one who should have been grateful. You're on your period. That's disgusting, and I deserved more respect than that. As a man, if I had laid down with a woman and forced myself on her and orgasmed in her and she got up and it was leaking out of her, guess what? I would have raped her. So by statute, by case law definition, Cassandra Ventura sexually assaulted me. I'm not looking to destroy Cassie. I've given Cassie more than a year to settle this before things got out of control. The problem is she's being supported by women like you who would choose to attack male victims instead of accept the truth, which is that a woman could have lied to get revenge on the ex-boyfriend who broke her heart and hurt her. It happens, people.
And the sad thing about all this, bro, or at this point, is that, and of course, don't know for sure if what Buddy's saying is true. But the sole fact that it could be true, it don't matter to all these women that have made their mind up. And the courts know that. Cassie know that. Hell, the world knows that, bro. Once you got women tapped in emotionally, that is the best thing you can capitalize off of, bro. You're not going to change no woman's minds in regards to this once they've made up in their mind that Cassie is a victim. Okay, she was a co-conspirator. It don't matter. Diddy still beat her up. There's no way Cassie's not a victim. Diddy molded her and brainwashed her to get pissed on, to get poked while she bleeding. I mean, the smash bro for 8 years.
But I want to end this by saying this. Cassie did this to herself. They say he who sets out on the course of revenge should dig 2 graves. People, Cassie dug the grave that is Clayton Howard herself. Cassie got on the stand trying to destroy Diddy. She should have took her $20-30 million and walked into the sunset, people. She should have never gotten on the stand and created further liability for herself by telling more of the lie that she created to get this man sent to prison for his life. She made a mistake when she got on the stand, people. She made a mistake when she got on the stand and lied about the events with Clayton Howard. Clayton Howard is a victim of Cassandra Ventura. Clayton Howard didn't ask to be in a relationship with Cassandra Ventura while she was sleeping with numerous men per week. I get it. You all think I was a nasty male prostitute sleeping with women, all different women all the time. It actually didn't work like that. To have certain types of people that can pay you that well, what you really have to do is you have to focus on people who are affluent. And affluent people don't engage in activities like that. So I might have had a client once a month. The truth is I was only a male escort for 2 years. I continued in the profession because Cassie and Diddy continued to pay me very well. And I was an ex-con. I needed money. Yes, I was trapped in the situation. I'll admit that. I didn't know what to do. But does that mean I should be victim shamed because the same thing that happened to women all the time happened to me as a man? No. And for those women out there, for you black women who choose to shame me as a black man for telling my truth, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Mic drop. Mic drop, but we're not done because where is it? Because Poetic Flacco dropped some receipts in regards to the trial. And this is where shit gets interesting.
One escort in particular, Clayton Howard, he took it beyond Cassie just booking him. See, Clayton has a great deal of resentment for Cassie because he feels like Cassie involved him in something by giving his name to the feds that he didn't want to be involved in. So when he spoke to the feds, he went out of his way to notify the feds that he believed that Cassie was a co-conspirator, that Cassie was just as bad as Diddy, and that Cassie used Diddy power to torment the lives of other people.
One, I was in an economic position where I really needed the money. 2, Mr. Combs is incredibly powerful, and Miss Ventura had no problem ending her use of that power, which has actually been revealed now because we've heard recordings of her threatening people. We've seen text messages. There are many different sides to people, and even Cassie is a normal individual. She has herself. There is a side to her that people don't know, the side that manipulated Sean Combs' power, the side that embraced his power and his position to do things that she wanted. So I was always afraid if I stopped coming, then I would start to have problems because she threatened me several times to come and made me feel uncomfortable that I would come to see her just to avoid any problem with Sean Combs. He's incredibly powerful. He has people that could follow me around, damaging my life for years, and it would cost him nothing to do it. So I want to say I continued in the situation, but not as much. There was many times that I did stall them, flake on them as the word goes, and not show up. But I kept the relationship strong enough that they never thought I was trying to turn on them or betray their secret.
I was so afraid of Diddy's power. He could do so much. He literally controlled my life. You know why she's fucking Cuddy and Michael B. Jordan and getting smashed on her period.
Obviously, because he feels this way and has these opinions on Cassie, he was never called to testify because it don't look great for your case as a prosecutor to say that Diddy trafficked Cassie when this man is saying that Cassie was just as bad as Diddy in his dealings with Diddy and Cassie. So he was never called to testify. He was brought up in trial. They say that him and Cassie was involved at the Four Seasons, but his testimony, his statements made to the feds was never brought up at trial. He wanted to testify because he had plans on outing Cassie before the trial and during the trial, but the feds did not allow it. Now, here's where things begin.
Could you imagine if he took the stand? Why didn't the defense know about him, though? Because all that shit should be within discovery for the prosecution and defense. They're probably because they didn't know who he was. Like, that would have been the ball game, bro. ball game, bro. Diddy would have walked. I mean, it would have, the same verdict uh, would have been made, the prostitution thing. But I think it would have at least put more of a dent on Cassie's rep, bro. It's just, you know, well, you know how it is, man. Women refuse to take accountability or take ownership of their problems or their mistakes. Refuse to take a look in the mirror, bro. And there's no way Cassie could be a victim when you would have had evidence highlighting this woman in a whole different way. So, you willing to, back Cassie up and her being victimized, rightfully so, her getting beat the fuck up, man. But it wasn't a domestic violence case, right? It was a sexual trafficking case. You know what I mean? And hence you got, under what y'all trying to get Diddy for trafficking Cassie, you got her trafficking bro. Right? But no, he lying. Why? Because Cassie's a woman.
See, his lawyer was Tyrone Blackburn, the same lawyer who represents Lil Rod. Lil Rod was one of the first people who sued Diddy. The feds actually used Lil Rod's lawsuit against Diddy to help structure this RICO case. So the feds was working with Tyrone Blackburn to make sure that his client, Clayton Howard, don't come out during the trial and don't speak out against Cassie and stays quiet until this trial is over. So Tyrone Blackburn was giving Clayton Howard the runaround when Clayton Howard was telling Tyrone.
Why would you even get him to rep you if he repping bro trying to go for Diddy? Fuck, got a damn grasshopper in this bitch. We not doing that, motherfucker. Fuck out of here, bitch. Fuck no. We not doing that. How the hell they getting in here? I just had to kill a grasshopper, man, because them bitches be getting in here some type of way. And then they be in here and they be loud as fuck at night, irritating me. Y'all probably peeped it making noise in the office before. So I just seen his ass, corner of my eye, bouncing and shit. But I just murdered that motherfuckers. I ain't got time ruining my goddamn videos. But anyway, well, I don't know why he would get bro to represent him when he representing somebody that's trying to go at Diddy. Well, I guess it makes sense, though, because you're trying to go at Diddy and Cassie with the whole lawsuit with the STDs or whatnot. Anyway, I see where this is going, though.
He was ready to file a lawsuit against Cassie while the trial was going on.
I have been trying to file litigation for this matter against Sean Combs and Cassie since I want to say March of 2024, maybe February. But I was represented by Tyrone Blackburn. And Tyrone Blackburn has a substantial amount of litigation against Sean Combs that the conviction of Sean Combs was dependent on him winning a lot of his civil cases. My attorney intentionally held the filing back to protect the credibility of Cassie. Tyrone Blackburn, he intentionally held it back. I have numerous communications to him where I am directly informing him to file. He would talk to the prosecutors and then he would duck me for weeks and not file the lawsuit. So this is why it was never filed.
Tyrone also represented Lil Rod and other people. So on top of the feds pressuring him to not blow this and to not allow this guy to file litigation against Cassie before the trial is over, he is also incentivized for a guilty verdict to come for Diddy.
Facts.
Because he wants, for this guilty verdict to be in place. So then he could take this guilty verdict, take it to a civil court, and get a lot of money for his other victims who were involved with Diddy. So Tyrone Blackburn was also incentivized for him not to...
They would have charged Diddy with RICO. That shit sound like RICO to me. Organized crime for that ass, boy. That's crazy as hell, man.
So Tyrone Blackburn was also incentivized for him not to sue Cassie as well, because once you put Cassie's credibility at question, that right there is the foundation of this entire RICO against Diddy.
Cooked.
When Cassie falls, the case falls. And also, too, if the defense attorney gets wind that this dude is trying to sue Cassie, they would just call him in as a witness and have him testify to everything he's telling TMZ right now. So Clayton eventually realizes Tyrone is stalling him.
Oh,
so
that makes sense. That makes sense because Cassie was the prosecution's witness. Defense didn't call no witnesses, so they wouldn't know anything about it. So that makes sense. Like, why the fuck wouldn't the defense get a hold of bro, dog? He would have you can the whole case, bro. Had all these hoes mad.
Fires Tyrone and files the lawsuit eventually. His lawsuit is predicated on the Adult Survivors Act and also the Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act, where he will list Diddy and Cassie as co-conspirators. Here's where Cassie may be in trouble. So the law allows human trafficking victims with a right to sue those responsible for their trafficking. However, even if the courts find that Cassie, isn't directly responsible for this dude being trafficked, it was expanded in 2008 to specifically include trafficking survivors and allow victims to sue anyone who knowingly benefited financially or by receiving anything of value from the trafficking crimes committed
bro, from this
against
channel, man.
This can include the buyer of the Commercial Sex Act. Diddy was found not guilty in criminal court of trafficking Cassie. The court listed Cassie as an equal participator in this. And if Cassie was the one who was paying these dues, she was the one who executed the transaction. She paid for the Commercial Sex Acts. But beyond that, if they don't want to give her, she paid for the Commercial Sex Acts, she undoubtedly benefited from this. She testified in court that Diddy gave her gifts. Diddy rewarded her. Diddy paid for her home. Diddy bought her expensive trips because she would engage in these free calls. That came with a $500,000 trip at Chanel. That came with cars. That came with houses. So undoubtedly here, Cassie is culpable in some way. And if you're Cassie and you are the public recipient of $30 million due to being the victim of Diddy, now you have a lot of people who was looking at that $30 million and thinking, I want a portion of that pie. Clayton Howard is just the first. If he is successful, trust and believe, bro, the hundreds of men that were involved in these free calls, they're coming out the woodworks too. And Cassie is now about to see herself in a situation like Diddy. Once one person sue, the entire army is coming, bro. The entire village want to cut. But I was able to recover Clayton Howard's lawsuit, and we're going to go through exactly what accusations he's making against Cassie. He accused Cassie of trafficking him for commercial sex purposes, luring him with promises of gifts and favors, transporting him across state lines for prolonged sexual encounters. She allegedly held him for days, using coercion and fraud to keep him under control. She pressured and threatened Howard to make himself available for these encounters, using financial compensation and isolation tactics to ensure compliance. Now, she would apparently withhold his clothing and phone so he wouldn't leave and he would stay for these prolonged encounters. If you closed your eyes as I read that,
must have been dicking her down. She didn't want him to leave.
Woo. You would have probably almost thought I was reading a lawsuit from Cassie to Diddy. Because what he is accusing Cassie of is exactly what Cassie is accusing Diddy of. He will lay claim that he was drugged and manipulated by Cassie, and even claiming that Cassie admitted to drugging him. So Ventura allegedly drugged Howard Clayton with controlled substances, including MDMA, at triple the doses she consumed to lower his inhibitions and facilitate sexual exploitation. She admitted to drugging him after he confronted her about an incident that left him disoriented and ill. She provided Howard with substances like ecstasy and marijuana to keep him awake and compliant during encounters, manipulating him into continued participation. The argument that a lot of people will have that if this is true is that Cassie was acting on behalf of Diddy. Cassie was just doing things to make sure that Diddy enjoyed himself.
Fuck out of here.
And she was just carrying out acts or favors for Diddy. But then we have to go back to the racketeering and to the RICO that Diddy was charged with. If it's a criminal organization, then there are people under that organization who did things. The reason why Diddy had no co-conspirators was because the co-conspirator was also the alleged victim.
I mean, he already got off, but that could have been the cause for RICO if they would have identified Cassie as the participant that she seems to be. You have a more worthy way to attack the RICO case. But man, this is a joke, bro. This is a joke, man. It's such a fucking joke, dog. Yeah, I mean, I want to wait for the video is fucking long as shit. He still got some more receipts. Hold on, let's continue. Let's continue.
As he was doing these things on behalf of Diddy or at the direction of Diddy, that don't make her any less responsible. She's still responsible for doing these things to someone. if these things are true. When I got to this part of the lawsuit, I fell out my chair. I would think that if I'm like an escort and I'm dealing with Cassie and Diddy, the least of my worries is I could catch something. These people are extremely wealthy at the top echelon of society. I don't think they would be carrying STDs around, but apparently I was wrong. Because according to Clayton Howard, Ventura,
if Cassie's getting clapped like that, you goddamn right she burning. Because Diddy didn't let nobody. Or that's what they claim. Diddy didn't want nobody wearing rubbers. Diddy didn't want nobody wearing rubbers, right? That's what they claim, bro. But it could have been just as easy for these women not to have rubbers worn either, bro. Because it feels better when you feel that real phallus. I'm talking about. But Ventura initiated and insisted on unprotected sexual content, disregarding Howard's safety, which led to him contracting the clap. She later admitted to contracting the STD and blamed Combs' infidelity, showing reckless disregard for Howard's health. And that's crazy too, because the only reason why she got the clap is because she was getting fucked by so many other fucking male escorts, bro. But then she tried to blame Diddy for cheating when y'all be smashing everybody together. Oh man. Her actions resulted in Howard impregnating her, after which she aborted the pregnancy without informing him until later, continuing to demand unprotected sex. Hey, from what he's describing, Cassie seems like a piece of work. I mean, she probably is, and she has, which there's a very high chance of her being a high piece of work if she was Diddy's understudy.
according to him, Cassie will record him in compromising positions without his consent, using these recordings for her and Diddy's mutual gratification. When confronted, she justified the recordings by demonstrating her enjoyment of them.
Bro, he better be telling the goddamn truth, bro. He better be telling the damn truth, dog, because this shit sounds verbatim the complaint Cassie filed on Diddy, bro. Ventura filmed Howard in compromising sexual encounters without his consent, using these recordings for her and Combs' mutual gratification, bro. Don't that sound familiar? When confronted, she justified the recordings by demonstrating her enjoyment of them, further manipulating Howard. Ventura concealed her identity by using the alias Jackie Starr and misrepresented her relationship with Combs, claiming they were married to entice Howard into sexual encounters. She lied to Combs about reviewing Howard's STD test to justify unprotected sex, pressuring Howard to continue despite his objections. It's difficult for me to accept anybody out here forcing a grown-ass man to put the tip in, bro. The period shit, that makes sense because you ain't fucking know. But like he said, he was ex-con, he was hurting for money, you know what I'm saying? She's enticing him with money. And, you know, there's a possibility that this is all cap. The fact that he has a lawsuit filed, they running with it, you know what I mean, speaks volumes. Curious to see how this is all gonna fucking play out. She's definitely a possibility of losing all that motherfucking money. And, you know what I mean, thinking about her reputation, like her reputation is ass any fucking way. Like she's either the slower of slowers to you or a victim, right? But this is going to impact that victim label that a lot of people have for her in their mind. What I'm more interested about is the result of the lawsuit. Like, is he gonna win? Is Cassie gonna settle out? You feel me? And, you know, what results from that? I'm wondering if this is gonna turn into anything, period, bro. Like, if the powers that be will even allow this to turn into anything, because this shit can get out of hand quick, regardless of the facts that may come from this that prove Clayton as telling the truth. Puppeteers in this motherfucker may not want that shit to get out, so they nip that shit in the bud real quick. You know, cuz come up missing or silenced or some goofy shit fucking happen where they, you know, get ahead of this fucking narrative. But it's gonna be interesting to see how society responds to it if Cassie is as guilty as it seems. Especially how women will respond to it, bro, because like I say, you know, once you got the women hooked, bro, you typically gonna fucking win whatever the hell it is you're going after, dog. So we're gonna see how that plays out. Like if they allow this man to be a fucking victim, because you know that tend not to be the case. You know what I'm saying? Men are not allowed to be victims. Men are not allowed to be drugged. Men are not allowed to be, you know, raped with period blood, and men are not allowed to be victims, period, bro. So yeah, it ain't looking too good for Cassie, bro. It ain't looking too good for Cassie, bro. I mean, on this side, I'm sure the motherfuckers out here that think Cassie is a victim, y'all still running with it. You know what I mean? It don't matter what the fuck people prove about Cassie. The fact that Diddy put hands on her, it don't matter what the fuck she do. That relieves her of any accountability of anything. She was forced to do all this shit, right? All right. All right, bro. We gonna see.